Hello and welcome to our online academic writing workshop. So there's a number of things we'd hope that you'd be able to do by the end of the session. We're really thinking about what is the point of academic writing? What's the good things about academic writing, the good features of it? How do you write in this passive voice for essays? What's the difference between formal and informal writing? And having a look at how to structure different types of assignment. And there's a summary of what it will and won't cover. So have a think about what good academic writing is. Just take a minute, maybe pause the presentation, just have a think about what do you think academic writing is. Right, so thinking about good and poor practice for academic writing, have a look at the table in front of you. What do you think's good practice for academic writing? What do you think's poor practice for academic writing? And pause the video here so you can just take some time to decide from this slide what you think good and poor examples of academic writing are. So we've got the good ones there, where it's based on research. You're using the opinion of experts to write your work. Avoid using contracted words, so it's cannot, do not, it is. Avoid e.g. and etc. for etc. as well. It should be written in the third person unless it's a reflection. And check carefully that the spelling's correct, good grammar and punctuation by good proofreading. The work should be well structured in clear logical order, and it should be written in formal language, avoiding slang. Try and refer to a number of resources. Try not to be too heavily reliant on books alone, especially not one or two books. Try and get a nice variety in there of books and journal articles and websites, as long as they're professional websites or ones approved by your tutors. A lot of websites are not good academically. So a formal essay is written in the third person, as we call. We'll look at examples of that. You could, if you're writing a reflection, it would be in the first person though. It should be well referenced, so there should be sources of information should be cited within the text of your essay, and they should be fully referenced in a reference list at the end. And there's the things we try and avoid, say writing in that. A lot of people put we in their assignments, and it's not we, it's you, isn't it? But it's only in that first person for reflection. Try and avoid bias. So you may be trying to get a point of view across, but you do need to look at opposing viewpoints as well. Try and avoid it being too personal. It shouldn't be your own opinion for an academic essay or a literature review. If you're writing a reflective piece, you may say things like, I found that in my experience. That's okay. But it will be quite limited. When you write a conclusion, you'll actually be writing the evidence suggests that. So you are sort of getting an opinion based on the evidence in a conclusion, but you're still saying the research strongly suggests, or there may be no conclusion. And the other thing is avoid, using local expressions and slang terms if you can. In your essay, and an email appointment with one of us would be something. If you're not sure about that, we could have a look and point out any instances of that. Okay, so there's an example of this first person. I chose this method. It uses the word I, so usually okay for reflections. Now you can rewrite these in the third person, as if you stood back from the situation. So instead of saying I chose this method because this method was chosen because. And then we've got research demonstrates that theory X is most effective because, so you can see there, you're converting, you're juggling words between your eyes and then writing as if you're an observer. Right, so we've got here an example of some informal language. So can you pause the video and just spot which words are informal? Or which series of words are informal in that example? And you can see there's the words that could do with replacing. You know, they're not sounding very formal. So can you just stop the video and pause and think, well, what could sound better? Can you actually replace those words with others? So just pause the video and have a go at rewriting that more formally, more academically. And there's an example. So we're not saying that this is actually, you know, the correct way to write it. There'll be many different versions. Yours may be different. This is just an example of how this informal piece could be made a bit more formal, but there's lots of other versions that could exist. You know, there's many types of assignments, but the main big four that we're going to have a look at. So just think about your essay. It's going to have an introduction, and we say, you know, it's roughly 10% of the word count. It's good to get something down, but you may want to tweak it later on. And it's going to say, what is the essay about? Somebody should pick this up and know what it's talking about. Why is this important? Can you justify what you're writing about? And then you've got the main body, and this will consist of themes. So you might have looked at the literature on a certain subject. So say, for example, we're looking at climate change. You may have a big section on deforestation. That'll be one of your themes. Then you may have a section on the burning of fossil fuels. That could be another one of your themes, and so on. Now, you can't write about everything on the subject, so you have to try and decide what are the most important things that the experts are talking about. So what are the experts saying are the most important things to do with climate change? So it's not what you think. Having read the literature, what are the experts saying? And at the end, you've got a conclusion. It shouldn't really have anything new unless you've been asked to make recommendations as a result of your research, and should sum up overall what has the research, what's emerged from the research. Is there a conclusion? What does the evidence suggest? Or is there no conclusion? Does the whole thing look very murky, and is it unexplained? Does it require further research? Some people like using mind maps to actually plan their essay out, and there's an example of how you could do that if you're a more visual type of learner. Now we've got reports, and unlike essays, these can have headings in, although I have to say there are some tutors who don't mind headings in essays. It's best to check with them because they're marking it. So we'll have headings and subheadings. It can have a few bullet points in, and it'll probably include tables and diagrams. And it's good to look at examples of reports in your subject area, but we've just put there a basic report structure with your title page. There could also be, if it's a research report, an aim, an overall aim and objectives, and an introduction as well. There'll be a literature review, a methodology, how the research is being done, if it is being done, because it could be secondary research, where you just look at literature. What have you found out clearly reported? And then there could be the discussion section in with that, or it might be separately, where you look at the findings and relate back to the literature review. And then conclusion and recommendations, there'll be a reference list, and you may have appendices that show sheets of data and things, you know, large things. You don't really want to break up the report but they should be referred to in the main body of the report. So you might say, see Appendix A, and then Appendix A will be at the end of the report. Be careful about the use of appendices. Some students have been criticised for having too much information in the appendices when some of it needed to be in the main body, to make sense to the reader. So if you're in any doubt, check with the tutor about what's appropriate to put into the appendices for your subject. We've got presentations as well. So with your presentations, I always say, try and look at your learning outcomes, assignment brief, plan out some slides in a logical order. So it's a bit like an essay in a way, where you'll have an introduction, you'll have themes and a conclusion. Only the slides will just have brief information where you will speak over that with more detail. We've got some resources on creating presentations on our website. And reflections are quite common in subjects like education, psychology and counselling and nursing. And you'll use a model to actually produce your reflection. And I can see there's a few examples, Gibbs, Driscoll and Kolb. You said it can be written in the first person. We do get the occasional tutor who doesn't want that. They want it written as an essay, so just check out. And with your reflection, you'll follow a model and you will use that as a framework to produce your essay. Just be careful it doesn't turn into a big long story. Analysis is important, where you're actually explaining why things happened, what was the impact of them, who did it affect, what was the best practice, what things went wrong. So it's not just a story, think about writing in depth. And again, on our website, we've got a guide to writing reflections. The final tips, and the really big thing, is to look at the assignment brief and learning outcomes from the start. Keep them close throughout and use them to self-assess yourself at the end. If you're not sure about what they mean or what's required, make sure you ask your tutor at an early stage. It's very likely that many other people are thinking the same thing or wanting to ask the same questions. Because if you start off in the wrong direction, you could be wasting a lot of time. So it's really important to get full understanding of that assignment brief and learning outcomes. There's keywords in that assignment brief. It may ask you to analyse, evaluate, discuss. Highlight those words and make sure that you're actually doing that with your writing. And mentioned again, the biggest problem with students obtaining low marks or unfortunately not passing is when things are too descriptive. And it's just, instead of an essay just producing the information, as I said, which probably I could do outside my subject area, find out something and just write it, try to explain. So if you're making a point, well, what does that mean? What's the implication of that? How does it relate to the title, what the essay is about? If it's your practice, how does it relate to what you do? Does it affect other people? So try and evaluate, analyse and apply things, like make sure that if you're asked to incorporate theories, you do actually link them up with what you're writing. If you're asked to apply legal frameworks or codes, make sure that you're applying them to what you're writing. We've got some workshops going on throughout the year. Take a look for those. And if you have any questions about academic writing, please do visit our academic skills section of the website, or you can email academicskills@staffs.ac.uk. Thank you. Bye.